Hi, welcome back to McClutchy Maths. My name is Natalie McClutchy and we are continuing our video series on the 2024 external exams in Queensland for General Maths. And this is paper 2, the complex paper, question 4, with a focus on decision mathematics. Now, if you would like to engage further with us here at the channel, here are some ways you can go about that. Firstly, like and subscribe and share the video with somebody. You could put on your class OneNote or send them the link in an email or on your social media channel. Why not consider telling us in the channel, in the comments underneath if you found the video helpful, and if you did find the video helpful, even consider donating $2 through your PayPal account by hitting the little love heart super thanks button, and that enables us to continue producing these videos for you. Well, let's get straight into question 4 with 5 marks. A person completes the following activities to make a loaf of bread. They measure the ingredients, that's the very first step, and then after they've measured the ingredients, they mix them and prepare a tin. The next step is to leave the dough to rise, and then while that dough is rising, they're preheating the oven. So we've got 2 steps happening at the same time here, with B as their prerequisite activity. After the oven's been preheated and the dough is rising, straight after the dough rising, we're going to knead that dough, which means we're going to introduce air into the dough. And then our final step is to put it in the oven. So we need to have D, the oven needs to be preheated, and the dough needs to be kneaded in order to go into the oven. And here's our time in minutes. So we're being asked to use a project network diagram with completed forward and backward scanning. So that's our first step. And then we would determine the float time for any non-critical activity that's not on the critical path. So let's start by drawing our vertex with a divided in the circle. I have seen some textbooks use half circles divided and different ways of representing that. But this is how I prefer to do it. So we're going to have a circle to start with. And out of that, we're going to have activity A, which is 3 minutes in duration. Okay, now straight out of activity A, we've got activity B, and it's worth 5 minutes. So coming out of activity B, now we've got C and D. So there's my next bubble and my next bubble there. C and D, 20 minutes and 15. Now going on from activity D, okay, straight out of there, I'm going to have C leads to kneading the dough, and that leads into activity D. So we've got like a little loop there, and then coming out of that is my final activity, which is baking the dough for 30 minutes. And I've reached the end. I've got a loaf of bread. Yum. Okay, so now I need to put some forward scanning into the network, but I get my first mark for correctly translating this into a project network diagram with all the activities and duration shown. So first mark out of 5. Next step is that forward scanning. So we always start on the left-hand side of the bubble with a 0, because that's at 0 time. And then we're going to add as we go. So 0 plus 3 makes 3. 3 plus 5 makes 8. 8 comes up to here, plus 20 makes 28. Okay, coming down here, I need to make a choice. I've got D flowing into the next bubble and E flowing into that bubble as well. So the one with the greatest number is the one that I'm going to put in there. So I've got a choice of 8 plus 15, which is 23, or 28 plus 7, which is 35. 35 is greater, so the greater number comes in. Add that to 30, and I've got 65. Okay, so now I get my next mark out of 5 marks because I've correctly forward scanned to get an estimated start time for each activity. Now I need to work backwards through the network. So this number here, 65, will be repeated on the end there. And I'm working backwards using subtraction. 65 take away 30 gives me 35. And then I'm going to come up in this direction. 35 take away 7 gives me 28. Now going back in this direction, I've got 2 choices flowing into that bubble there. What I need to do with this vertex here is I need to choose the lowest number in that particular situation. So 28 take away 20 gives me 8, or 35 take away 15 gives me 20. The smallest number is 8. Take away 5 gives me 3. Take away 3 gives me 0. I've now backward scanned through the whole network, and I've determined the latest start time for every activity. Now I've done this part. Now what I need to do is determine that float time. And the only one that's not on the critical path, all these non-critical activities, so all the way through here where the 2 sides of the vertex have the same number, are all the critical paths. So that's my critical pathway there. This is the only activity that's not on that path. So I'm basically only working out float time for activity D. And this is where you need to memorize your formula. I've just attracted another mark for identifying what that activity is. And my formula is the latest start time take away the latest start time here, or the earliest start time here actually, so that's the outsides of both those bubbles, take away the duration time in the middle. So this number, take away that number, take away that number. 35, take away 8, take away 15 gives me 12 minutes. And I'm going to get another mark for determining the float time of the non-critical activity. Make sure you do present that using minutes. Otherwise, you may find in years to come that may have been a critical part of the question was the time, and you may not get the mark if you just write 12. If you've got any questions today about what you saw, mcclutchymaths@yahoo.com is the place to reach me. Thank you so much for joining me today. Do stay tuned. We've got questions 5, 6, and 7 coming right up. Have a wonderful day.